The knock on the door was so hard it rattled the thin walls of Madison Clark's tiny Hoboken apartment. She froze, still holding the grocery bag against her chest, the cold of a Starbucks iced latte pressing into her arm. It was supposed to be an ordinary Tuesday evening, the kind where she heated leftover pasta and tried to convince herself her marriage wasn't crumbling. But the moment she opened the door, everything ordinary was gone. Standing in the doorway were her mother-in-law, Beatrice Monroe, wrapped in a cashmere coat that probably cost more than Madison's monthly rent, and Harrison, her husband, looking anywhere but at her. Between them was a thick manila folder. Beatrice didn't wait for permission. She stepped inside as if the place offended her. "Let's get this over with," she said, dropping the folder onto Madison's kitchen table with a sharp thud. "Sign these papers." Madison blinked. "Papers? What papers?" "Divorce papers," Harrison muttered, his jaw tight. "It's time. Time." As if her life, her heart, their vows could be scheduled between his afternoon workout and dinner plans. Madison set the grocery bag down, hands trembling. What are you talking about? Why now?" Beatrice answered for him. "Because my son finally realized he married beneath him. You've held him back long enough. And we're not giving you a single cent. You don't deserve it." "Idonus." The words sliced into her. Beneath him. Held him back. Madison had worked 2 jobs during their early years, paying bills while Harrison figured out his career. She sacrificed sleep, comfort, and pride, but none of that mattered now. Harrison shoved his hands into his pockets, avoiding her eyes. "We've been done for a long time, Mads. This is cleaner." Clean. There was nothing clean about having your heart thrown onto the table beside a stack of legal documents. Madison tried to steady her breath. "Harrison, please look at me. Tell me this isn't real." But Beatrice stepped between them, icy and triumphant. "He doesn't need to look at you. He's moved on. Sign the papers, Madison. Tonight." Madison's throat tightened. "Moved. On? Oh, don't play stupid," Beatrice scoffed. "Harrison is engaged. The wedding is already being planned. My son deserves a woman who adds value." Madison stumbled backward as though struck. Engaged, while still married to her. While she waited every night for him to come home. Her voice cracked. "You're replacing me?" "No, dear," Beatrice smiled. "We're upgrading." Madison felt the room tilt. Her vision blurred. The world she had defended, endured, and believed in was collapsing, and the people destroying it didn't even flinch. She reached for the table to steady herself, fingertips brushing the cold metal spiral of the divorce packet. Then suddenly there was another knock at the door. Slow, firm, intentional. Beatrice rolled her eyes. "Who on earth?" Madison turned, and the door swung open to reveal a man she never expected. A man whose presence made Beatrice instantly pale. Noah Whitford. And when he said her name, everything in the room shifted. Madison stood frozen in the middle of her living room, her breath trapped somewhere between her lungs and her heart. She hadn't seen Noah Whitford in almost 8 years, not since the final semester of college, when life had pushed them in different directions. He looked older now, steadier, sharper, his tailored charcoal coat dusted with a few raindrops that shimmered in the light of her apartment. His presence filled the room instantly, quiet but commanding in a way that made Beatrice falter. "Madison," he said gently, stepping inside, "you weren't answering your phone." Her phone. She'd turned it to silent hours ago, exhausted from calls she didn't have the strength to return. But right now her silence was the least of her problems. Beatrice stiffened, clutching the lapels of her coat. "I'm sorry, who exactly are you?" Noah ignored her completely, his eyes softening as he studied Madison's face. "Are you okay? You look pale." Madison opened her mouth, but the words tangled in her throat. She didn't want Noah of all people to see her in this moment. Not standing in a tiny apartment she could barely afford, not while divorce papers sat on the table like an accusation, not while her husband stood there pretending she was nothing. Harrison finally spoke. "Why are you here, Whitford?" The question was sharp, defensive, almost panicked. Madison blinked. Harrison knew Noah? How? Since when? Noah didn't turn to him. "I'm here because Madison asked me to look over a project proposal for her company. She left her sketches in the office lobby. I thought she might need them." Madison's heart squeezed. She remembered earlier that morning she dropped off a packet at Whitford Capital's reception desk, never thinking Noah himself would see it. Beatrice scoffed loudly. Sketches? Project proposals? This girl can't even keep a proper home. She certainly doesn't have a real career. It was meant to humiliate her. And before tonight, it might have. But Noah's expression hardened in a way Madison had never seen before. Mrs. Monroe. Madison is one of the few landscape architects in this region with both artistic vision and engineering accuracy. Her designs are being studied by firms your son begs for meetings with. Harrison's ears flushed red. Madison swallowed, unsure if she wanted to cry or collapse. She didn't deserve this. Noah defending her, validating her, standing up to the people who had spent years belittling her. Beatrice narrowed her eyes. This is a family matter. You have no business here. End quote. Noah stepped beside Madison. Close, protective, solid. I make my own business. Harrison slammed the folder shut. This doesn't concern you, Whitford. Madison and I are ending things. Madison turned her face toward her husband, searching for even a flicker of regret. She found none. Harrison's voice lowered. Just sign the papers, Mads. It'll be easier for everyone. Everyone. He meant himself, his new fiancée, his controlling mother. Everyone but the woman he'd promised to love. Madison felt something strange ignite inside her, not anger, not sadness, but a quiet clarity. She straightened her back, lifted her chin, and finally found her voice. I'm not signing anything tonight, she said. Beatrice's jaw dropped. Excuse me? Madison glanced at Noah, then back to the woman who had made her feel small for years. I need time, and I need a lawyer. Beatrice let out a harsh laugh. A lawyer? With what money, dear? You can't even afford your own rent. 1T9. Madison steadied herself. I'll manage. Noah's voice was calm but firm. She'll manage with me. The room went still. Harrison stared at Noah, something dark flashing across his face. Fear, jealousy, maybe both. You're inserting yourself where you don't belong. Noah placed a hand on the table, close to Madison's, not touching but near enough to send a message. I belong wherever she needs protection. Beatrice sputtered with rage, gathering her coat. We will return tomorrow morning, and she will sign. Madison's pulse hammered, but she didn't step back. Beatrice moved toward the door, but before she exited, she looked at Madison with venom. This stubbornness will ruin you. Noah spoke before Madison could. Or it might ruin the people counting on her silence. Beatrice froze. Madison's breath hitched. Because the way Noah said it sounded like he knew something none of them expected. The moment the door slammed behind Beatrice and Harrison, the apartment fell into a heavy, uncomfortable silence. Madison's shoulders sagged, the weight of the past 30 minutes pulling her down like stones tied to her ribs. She pressed a palm to her forehead, trying to gather her breath, trying to stop her hands from shaking. The cheap overhead light flickered once, casting a tired glow over the cramped living room, peeling paint, mismatched furniture, and a stack of unopened bills on the counter. This place wasn't home. It was survival. Noah watched her with quiet concern before stepping closer. Maddie, he said softly. Sit down for a minute. I'm fine, she whispered, though her voice betrayed her. You're not fine, he replied, pulling out a chair for her at the small dining table, the same table where Harrison had tossed the divorce packet like a discarded receipt. Madison sank into the seat, fingers curling around the edge as if she might fall through the floor without something to hold. Noah set the packet aside carefully and crouched down beside her, eye level. What they said to you was unforgivable. Madison shook her head. It's okay. I'm used to it. His brows knitted. That doesn't make it right. The kindness in his tone nearly undid her. Tears threatened, but she blinked them back. She wouldn't cry. Not tonight. Not in front of someone who still saw her as the girl who sketched gardens during lectures and believed in beauty even in small spaces. You shouldn't have stepped in like that, she said quietly. They'll twist it. They always twist everything. I don't care how they twist it, Noah answered. I'm not letting you face this alone. Doesn't out. Madison looked around the apartment as if seeing it through his eyes. For the first time, the scratched coffee table she'd found on Craigslist, the sagging couch she'd patched with fabric glue, the old iPhone charger barely hanging together with tape. It was a modest life, almost embarrassingly so. You shouldn't be here, she murmured. This place, my life, it's a mess. Noah stood, his expression steady. Then let's clean up the mess. Her breath caught. She didn't know if he meant the apartment, the divorce, or the years she'd spent shrinking herself to fit into Harrison's world. Maybe he meant all of it. She forced herself to stand. "I need air." Noah nodded, grabbed her coat from the hook on the wall, and draped it around her shoulders. His touch was gentle, steadying, grounding. They stepped out into the hallway, fluorescent lights buzzing softly overhead. The building smelled faintly of old carpet and microwaved leftovers. Outside, the night air was crisp. Hoboken's streets glimmered with the reflection of city lights bouncing off wet pavement. Across the Hudson River, Manhattan rose like a glittering promise, towers of steel and glass piercing the dark sky, each window a reminder of the world Madison once dreamed of being part of. "I always forget how close the city is," she murmured. "You always belonged closer to it than you think," Noah replied, following her gaze. They walked slowly toward the waterfront, the breeze tugging at Madison's hair. Noah kept a respectful distance, not crowding her, not forcing conversation, just being there, grounding her. After a long silence, Madison exhaled shakily. "They're coming back tomorrow. I know. They want me to sign everything. No alimony, no assets." She swallowed, "As if I'm disposable." "You're not disposable," Noah said, his tone firm. "You're Madison Clark. You're brilliant, and stronger than you realize." She looked at him then, truly looked, and for the first time sensed something different, something steady, something protective, something that didn't feel like pity. "Why did you come tonight, Noah?" she asked softly. He hesitated just enough to make her heart thump harder. "Because," he started, voice low, "because I couldn't stay away anymore." Madison's breath hitched. Noah stepped closer, eyes locked on hers. "And because there's something you need to know before tomorrow." "Thanks for watching." Madison stopped walking. The wind off the Hudson tugged at her coat, but she barely felt the cold. Noah's voice had shifted lower, heavier, carrying something she wasn't prepared for. She turned toward him, brows drawn with worry. "What do you mean?" she asked softly. "There's something I need to know." Noah hesitated again. He wasn't someone who hesitated. In college, he was the one who spoke with confidence, who walked into rooms as if he had already earned a seat at every table. Seeing him uncertain frightened her more than the divorce papers waiting back in her apartment. "Just say it," she whispered. He exhaled. Harrison didn't come up with this sudden divorce on his own. This wasn't spontaneous. Her heart thudded painfully. Of course it wasn't spontaneous. He's been distant for months. No, Noah shook his head. I mean, it wasn't his idea. It wasn't even about the relationship. Madison frowned. So, what was it about? He looked out over the water, as if searching for the right words. 3 weeks ago, Beatrice approached a financial consultant my firm sometimes works with. She asked him to research something about you. Madison blinked. Me? Why would she? Because she thought you were hiding assets. Madison froze. For a moment, she thought she'd misheard him. Assets? Hiding? Her bank account had barely 4 digits. She paid rent late more often than she wanted to admit. If anyone in this marriage was hiding money, it was the man who came home wearing new watches every month. That doesn't make sense, she said. I can't even afford a MetroCard half the time. That's exactly why it worried me, Noah said gently. Beatrice believes you're worth something big, and she went digging. Madison's breath stalled. A strange, sharp panic clawed at the back of her mind. There was something there, something she hadn't let herself think about in years, something her father had whispered to her before his death. Your 28th birthday. That's when everything changes. Don't tell anyone until then. But she had pushed that memory aside, choosing a simple life, a quiet path, a marriage she thought would be safe. Noah continued. When the consultant turned down the job, Beatrice found someone else. Someone less ethical. Harrison's sudden push for divorce isn't about starting fresh. It's because they think they can take something from you, something they believe is yours. Madison felt the world tilt under her feet. I don't have anything, she insisted. Nothing they could take. Madison. Noah stepped closer. Are you sure? The question landed like a blow. Her chest tightened. The memory of her father's voice echoed, threading through years of buried grief. No. She couldn't think about that. Not here. Not with her life collapsing. Noah studied her face. You don't have to tell me. But you need to know this. Whatever they're planning, it isn't small. They wouldn't go to financial investigators if they didn't expect a big payoff. Her hands curled into fists. Betrayal layered upon betrayal. It wasn't enough that Harrison had cheated. He wanted to break her financially, too. He wanted to strip her of anything she might have. Madison swallowed hard. They think I'm hiding money? Noah nodded. Enough to fight over. Madison let out an unsteady breath. But if they think I have something, and I don't sign, they'll get desperate, Noah said quietly. And desperate people do stupid things. Madison's stomach twisted. The night felt colder suddenly, the city lights harsher against the dark water. Her life was slipping in directions she couldn't predict, and every path seemed dangerous. She looked back at Noah, voice trembling. What am I supposed to do? He stepped forward, lowering his voice. You need protection. Real protection. Madison, you need to stay somewhere safe tonight. She blinked at him. Safe? Why would I? But before Noah could answer, Madison's phone vibrated violently in her pocket. She pulled it out. Dozens of missed calls. All from Harrison. Then a new text flashed across the screen. Come home now. It's urgent. And attached was a photo of her apartment door kicked open. Madison stared at the photo, unable to blink. Her apartment door, cheap wood, old brass handle, peeling paint, was hanging off its hinges like a broken jaw. The hallway behind it was scattered with splintered fragments. Her entire chest tightened. What is this? She whispered. Noah leaned over her shoulder to see the image. His jaw flexed instantly. He's bluffing, he said. Or trying to scare you. But Madison shook her head. Harrison wasn't brave enough to kick down a door. But Beatrice had enough money to pay someone else to do it. Madison's phone buzzed again. Harrison, come now, before things get worse. She felt sick. Noah, I need to go back. What if? No. His voice was firm, final. If someone actually broke into your place, you're not walking into that alone. But my things can be replaced. You can't. He stepped closer, eyes steady. We go together. Or we call the police first. Madison hesitated. Calling the police felt dramatic, extreme, almost embarrassing, but so did showing up alone after a break-in. She nodded. Let's just go see. Noah didn't wait. He moved with purpose, guiding her back toward his car, a sleek black Mercedes parked near the waterfront. He opened the passenger door for her, but she froze again before getting in, her mind spinning. What if this is my fault? She whispered. What if something I don't even know about is getting people hurt? Noah held her gaze. Madison, whatever is happening, it's not your fault, and you're not dealing with it alone. Not anymore. The words steadied her enough to move. The drive from the waterfront to her apartment felt longer than usual. Hoboken's narrow streets gleamed under streetlights, puddles reflecting the city glow. Madison gripped the inside of the door, her pulse beating in her wrists. When they reached her building, Noah parked at an angle and got out before she could. He scanned the surroundings, shoulders tense, jaw rigid. The front entrance was propped open with a broken brick. Madison's stomach dropped. This wasn't like this before. Noah gestured for her to stay behind him as they climbed the dim stairwell. The smell of old carpet and fried food hung in the air, familiar but suddenly threatening. At the top of the stairs, they turned the corner. And there it was. Her door kicked inward, frame cracked, wood splintered across the floor. Madison's breath hitched as she stepped forward. No, she whispered. Inside, the apartment looked like a storm had passed through. Drawers yanked open, couch cushions thrown everywhere. Her sketchbooks ripped, pages scattered like confetti. The single ceramic mug she used every morning lay shattered on the floor. This wasn't random. Someone had searched with intention. Noah knelt beside the ruined sketchbooks. They weren't looking for valuables, he said softly. They were looking for information. I don't have any information, Madison murmured. I don't know anything worth breaking a door for. Maybe you don't, Noah said. But someone thinks you do. A sudden knock at the doorframe made Madison jump so hard she nearly slipped. It was Harrison. He stood there, breathing hard, hair disheveled as if he had run the whole way. What the hell happened here? He panted. Madison stared at him. You tell me. Harrison shook his head. I swear, I just got here. When you didn't answer, I came to check. I didn't do this, Mads. I wouldn't. Noah rose to his full height, eyes narrowing. Then why send her a picture before you ever arrived? Harrison blinked, thrown off. Because someone texted it to me. I thought she should know. Madison frowned. Someone? Who? Harrison swallowed hard. I don't know. I didn't recognize the number. Noah stepped in front of Madison protectively. That's convenient. Harrison bristled. Stay out of this, Whitford. You don't know what's going on. Madison shook her head slowly. Neither do I. Harrison ran a shaky hand through his hair. Look, whoever did this is sending a message. And if we don't figure out why, but he stopped mid-sentence. Because all three of them saw it at once. A small white envelope taped to Madison's shattered mirror. Her name handwritten across the front, and inside was something that made Noah's face drain of color. The envelope felt heavier than its weight should allow. Madison's fingers trembled as she peeled the flap open. Inside was a single sheet of paper, thin, almost translucent. But what was printed on it made her knees buckle. It was a bank record, not hers. Not any account she recognized, but the name tied to it. Martha Clark, Memorial Trust. Beneficiary, Madison Clark. Balance, $487 million. She stared, her breath shattering in her chest. A numbness spread through her, slow and paralyzing. Harrison reached for the document, but Noah snatched it first, eyes scanning the numbers with a cold intensity. This isn't possible, Madison whispered. This fund, it was just a story my father told me. Something about my mother's legacy. He said it would matter one day, but I thought he was just comforting me after she died. I never saw any paperwork. Nothing. Noah's jaw tightened. This isn't a story, Maddie. This is real. And someone wanted you to know it tonight. If you never. Harrison stumbled back, color draining from his face. $480 million? His voice cracked. Why? Madison felt dizzy. I don't understand. I don't have that money. I've never seen a cent. I live paycheck to paycheck. Because someone's been managing it for you, Noah murmured. Holding it until... Harrison cut him off. Until she turns 28. His voice was hollow. Her dad told me once, back when we first dated, he said she'd inherit more than she knew. I thought he meant memories, or maybe something small. Noah turned sharply. You knew? You knew something and still watched her struggle like this. Harrison flinched. I didn't know it was real. Madison staggered toward the couch, falling into the torn cushions. The room swayed. Her mother, her father, their secrets, their warnings. Her birthday just 2 weeks away. No. None of this made sense. Her eyes burned with tears she refused to release. Why now? Why tonight? Noah's expression darkened. Because someone else is after it. Silence suffocated the room. Harrison swallowed hard. My mother, she's been obsessed with your finances. She kept saying, there's something she's hiding. No one lives that quietly unless they're covering something. I thought she was paranoid, but if she found out about this... She didn't find out, Noah interrupted. She was looking for leverage. She probably hired someone who dug deep enough to uncover the trust. And now those people want a piece of it. Madison pressed her hands to her temples. Panic swarmed her chest, sharp and suffocating. Her life wasn't just falling apart, she might be in real danger. The break-in, the message, the envelope. Someone wanted her rattled, vulnerable, alone. Her breath fractured. I can't do this. I can't. Noah was beside her instantly, crouching down, his hands gently gripping her shoulders. Hey, look at me. Inhale. She tried, but her lungs stung. Tears spilled before she could stop them. You're okay, he whispered. You're safe. I won't let anything happen to you. Harrison hovered awkwardly, looking lost, guilty, and terrified all at once. A version of him Madison had never seen. I can't go home, she choked out. You're not, Noah said firmly. Pack what you need. You're staying somewhere secure tonight. My apartment is destroyed, she sobbed. Everything is ruined. Not everything, Noah said softly. You're still standing. Madison wiped her eyes, forcing breath through her lungs. She felt small, broken, humiliated. This was supposed to be her life, the one she built from scratch. The one she protected from uncertainty, chaos, danger. And now it was exposed. Violated. She gathered a few belongings in a tote bag: her toothbrush, her charger, her last clean sweater, her sketchbook, even torn, because she couldn't let it go. Noah placed a reassuring hand on her back as they walked toward the hallway. Harrison followed silently, eyes haunted. When they reached the bottom of the stairwell, Noah paused. "Maddie, the safest place for you tonight is a secure hotel, somewhere high profile, with cameras everywhere." "Like where?" she asked weakly. "The Ritz-Carlton," he said. "I have a residency suite there." Harrison stiffened. "Wait, she's staying with you?" Noah didn't even look at him. "She's staying safe." "To date her." Madison inhaled shakily, nodding. They stepped out into the cold night, streetlights casting long shadows behind them. And that's when Madison noticed something that froze her blood. A black SUV parked across the street. Engine running, no driver visible. And as they approached Noah's car, the SUV's headlights turned on. The SUV's headlights washed over Madison like a spotlight, harsh and blinding. Noah instinctively stepped in front of her, one arm outstretched, shielding her from view. Harrison froze beside them, his breath misting in the cold night air. For one long, terrible moment, nothing happened. The engine idled, low and rumbling, vibrating through the pavement. Madison's pulse hammered in her ears. Every instinct in her body screamed to run, but her legs felt chained to the sidewalk. Noah leaned closer to her. "Get in my car," he whispered, slowly. "Don't look at them." "If you want churros." Madison nodded, her knees trembling. She clutched her tote bag tighter and edged toward the passenger door of Noah's Mercedes. But before she reached it, the SUV crept forward, rolling toward them like a silent threat. Harrison stepped forward suddenly, raising both hands. "Hey, enough of this. Who are you? What do you want?" The SUV stopped again. Madison's breath hitched. Then, the back window rolled down 2 inches, just enough for a gloved hand to slide a small black envelope out onto the street. It landed with a soft tap near Harrison's shoes. The SUV peeled away without warning, tires screeching as it disappeared around the corner. The echo of its engine lingered in the street like a warning. "What the hell?" Harrison muttered, staring at the envelope. "No," Noah snapped. "Don't touch it." But Harrison already had. He bent down, picking it up between his fingers. "It's just paper. Relax." He flipped it open. Inside was a single photo. One look at it made the blood drain from his face. "What is it?" Madison whispered. Harrison didn't answer. His mouth opened, closed, then opened again like he was struggling for air. Noah snatched the photo from his hand. It was Madison. Not now, not recently. A photo from years ago, one she didn't even know existed. She looked younger, sitting on a bench outside Columbia University, reading a letter. Her father's handwriting was visible on the page. The picture was zoomed in close, too close, as if someone had been watching her from across the quad. Beneath the photo was a printed message. "You have what we want. You always have." Madison's stomach twisted violently. No, that's impossible. That picture, how did they even?" Harrison stared at her, shocked. "Mads, this is from before we even met. Thanks for watching." "I know," she whispered, voice cracking. "I don't remember anyone taking it." Noah inhaled sharply. "This means they've been watching you longer than we thought. This didn't start with Beatrice. Someone else is involved." The cold wind ripped through Madison's jacket, chilling her to the bone. "I'm scared, Noah." "I know," he said, eyes locked on hers. "But listen to me, Maddie. This time, the danger isn't subtle. We're moving now." Harrison's voice trembled. "We should call the police." "Possible 7. Noah shook his head. "And tell them what? That someone anonymously dropped a photo from a decade ago? They won't do anything until a crime is committed." Madison hugged her arms around herself. "Is breaking into my apartment not a crime?" "It is," Noah said. "But you didn't see who did it. And they'll claim you could have kicked your own door in." The truth stung. Harrison's voice cracked with something like guilt. I shouldn't have pushed the divorce like this. I didn't know any of this was happening." Madison didn't answer. She wasn't ready to look at him. Noah guided her toward the car again. "We're leaving. Right now, before anyone else shows up." She slid into the passenger seat, breathing hard. Noah rounded the front of the car and got in beside her. Harrison opened his mouth as if to ask where she was going, but Noah locked the doors with a soft click before he could speak. The Mercedes pulled away from the curb, smooth and fast. Madison watched the buildings blur past, her grip tight on the door handle. Her life, her quiet, simple, predictable life, was gone. Replaced by something dark, dangerous, and tangled with secrets she didn't understand. Noah drove with one hand, the other occasionally brushing the console, as if ready to react at any second. His eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. "Maddie," he said softly, "I need you to prepare yourself." "For what?" she whispered. Noah took a breath, steady but heavy. "Because we're not going to the Ritz." She turned to him sharply. "Then where?" she asked. Noah hesitated. Then he looked her in the eyes. "To meet the one person who knows why your mother left you $500 million. The Mercedes glided through the Holland Tunnel, emerging into Manhattan's late-night glow. Madison sat stiffly in the passenger seat, the city lights streaking across the windshield like blurred lines of panic. Every streetlight, every horn, every flash of neon felt too bright, too loud. Her heartbeat hadn't slowed since the SUV incident. She turned toward Noah. "Where are we going? Who are we meeting? Why can't we go to the hotel?" Noah didn't answer immediately. His focus stayed on the road, jaw clenched, hands steady. Madison knew that look. It was the same one he wore in college when he had just solved a complex case study, determined, calculated, already 10 steps ahead. "Finally," he said, "we're going somewhere safer than a hotel, somewhere no one's watching." Madison swallowed. "And who's the person you said knows about my mother?" "Someone your father trusted," Noah replied. "Someone you should have met years ago, but circumstances didn't allow it." "That's not an answer." "I know." His vague confidence unnerved her. Everything in her life felt out of her control, and now even the direction of the car wasn't hers to decide. She pressed her palms to her thighs, grounding herself in the soft leather seat. Minutes later, they turned up a quiet street off Park Avenue, a stark contrast to the chaos of Midtown. The buildings here were tall and elegant, carved from old limestone, with glowing windows and discreet entrances. Noah slowed the car and pulled into a covered driveway guarded by black-suited doormen. Madison blinked. "Where is this?" "The Park Regent Residences," Noah replied. "Private units. Largest security budget in Manhattan. You have a place here?" He parked the car, shifted into neutral, and finally met her eyes. "No, Maddie, not me." Before she could ask again, the doorman approached and opened her door with a slight bow. "Miss Clark," he said respectfully, "welcome. We've been expecting you." Her stomach flipped. "Expecting me?" Noah stepped out and came around to her side. "Let's go inside. We shouldn't talk out here." "Port." The doorman led them into a private elevator, gold-trimmed, polished, silent. As the doors closed, a soft chime sounded, and they ascended smoothly. Madison's pulse quickened with every floor they passed. "Noah," she whispered, "I need to know what's happening." "You will," he said. "Just don't panic when you see who's waiting." She clutched her tote bag tighter, her breath unsteady. The elevator chimed again, and the doors slid open onto a sprawling penthouse suite. Marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering skyline, modern art lining the walls. Everything looked curated, expensive, intentional. But the true shock stood at the far end of the room. An older man with silver hair and sharp features, impeccably dressed in a midnight blue suit. Hands clasped behind his back. Eyes piercing yet strangely gentle. He turned as they entered. "Madison," he said, his voice deep and controlled. "You look just like your mother." Madison froze. Her mouth went dry. I'm sorry. Do I know you?" "You wouldn't," he replied. He stepped forward with a quiet grace. "But I knew her. Very well." Madison's head spun. "Who are you?" The man stopped a few feet away. His gaze softened not pity, but familiarity, grief, and something else she couldn't place. "My name is Conrad Hale," he said. "I was your parents' attorney, and their executor." He paused. "I've waited 20 years for this day." Madison's breath stuttered. "Why? Why wait so long?" Conrad motioned toward the seating area. "Because your inheritance wasn't just money, it was a responsibility. One your mother didn't want falling into the wrong hands." Madison stared at him, shaken. "What responsibility?" Conrad exhaled slowly, as though preparing for a truth he'd carried too long. "Your mother didn't just leave you a fortune, Madison. She left you control of something far more powerful." Madison's voice cracked. "Control of what?" Conrad held her gaze. "The Phoenix Holdings Empire," he said quietly. "Your mother's company. And as of midnight on your 28th birthday, you become its sole owner." Noah stepped closer beside her. Madison's legs weakened beneath her. She felt the room tilt. She felt her breath falter. She felt her entire life shift. And then Conrad said the words that shattered the last piece of her old world. "And someone is trying to take it from you before that happens." End quote. Madison's mind roared with static. Phoenix Holdings. Sole owner. Midnight on her 28th birthday. It was too much, too big, too impossible. She sat back against the velvet sofa, palms pressed into her knees to stop them from shaking. Conrad waited patiently, as if he had anticipated this exact reaction. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Phoenix Holdings hasn't had a public owner in years. It's run by a board. It's a myth, a ghost company." Conrad nodded once. "By design. Your mother wanted it hidden. After she died, your father kept the structure intact. Only when he passed did the trust activate, transferring power to you, but only when you reached the age she believed you'd be strong enough to handle it." Madison stared at him, stunned. "Strong enough? I can barely hold my life together, let alone." "You think that," Conrad interrupted gently, "because you've been surviving, not living. But your mother built Phoenix for you. Not for the board. Not for distant cousins. Not for vultures like the Monroes." His eyes hardened. "And certainly not for whoever is watching you." Noah stepped forward. "Conrad, the break-in tonight wasn't random. Someone's moving early." "I know," Conrad replied. "The trust lawyers intercepted an unusual inquiry 2 days ago, someone trying to access the sealed clauses in Madison's file. They failed, but the attempt was bold." Madison swallowed. "Who would do that? And how do they even know about me?" Conrad hesitated. "We have a list of potential suspects. But tonight?" He paused, looking at Noah. "Tonight is about getting her somewhere safe. And then tomorrow, we go public." Madison blinked. "Public? About what?" "That you're the heir," Conrad said. "That you exist. That Phoenix is yours." Her stomach dropped. "No. Absolutely not. I don't want to be public. I don't want any of this." Conrad's expression softened with sympathy. "I understand, but exposure is protection. Right now they think you're isolated, vulnerable, someone they can intimidate." "I am isolated," she whispered. Noah crouched in front of her. "Not anymore." Madison's chest tightened. She looked away, unsure how to absorb the warmth in his voice. Conrad continued, "Tomorrow night is the Winter Benefactors Gala at the Plaza. Every major financial player will be there. The media, the board of Phoenix. You walk in as the heir, and you remove the shadows they're hiding in." Madison stared at him. "You want me to announce my inheritance at a gala?" "Yes. I don't even own a decent dress." Noah stood, his voice calm and steady. "We'll take care of everything. You won't walk in alone." Madison's breath shook as she considered it. A gala, cameras, reporters, a room full of the richest and most ruthless people in Manhattan. She, who couldn't even keep her apartment door intact, would step into the plaza like she belonged there. Her pulse hammered. "I'm not ready." Conrad gave a faint smile. "Your mother said you'd say that." Madison's throat tightened. She said that?" He nodded. "She said, 'My daughter will doubt herself before she ever doubts the world. But when she finally steps forward, she will terrify them all.'" A quiet stillness settled over Madison. For the first time since the nightmare began, she felt something steady inside her. Not confidence, but the possibility of it. Noah extended his hand. "Let's go. You need rest. Tomorrow, everything changes." Madison hesitated only a moment before placing her hand in his. His grip was warm, grounding. As they turned toward the elevator, Conrad added, "One more thing, Madison." She looked back. He held up the black envelope from her shattered apartment mirror. "The people who broke in left this behind on purpose," he said. "And they want you to know something." "Know what?" she asked. Conrad's voice dropped. "They're watching your every move." Madison froze. And then the lights in the penthouse flickered twice before going completely dark. Darkness swallowed the penthouse, so suddenly Madison couldn't even gasp. One moment the city skyline glittered through towering windows, the next it vanished behind black glass. The hum of electricity stopped, the heater clicked off. The silence felt wrong, too heavy, too intentional. Madison's hands flew out in panic. "Noah?" "I'm here," he replied instantly, reaching for her arm. He pulled her closer, steady and protective. "Stay still." A faint glow appeared Noah's phone flashlight, cutting a thin line through the room. The beam flickered over Conrad's face, stern but composed. "This building is on triple redundancy power," Conrad said. "It doesn't go dark, not even during citywide outages." Then how Madison began. "They cut it manually," Conrad finished. "Someone breached the system." Madison's breath turned cold. "They found me here?" Noah moved in front of her. "They won't get past the front lobby. This place is fortified." A sharp, echoing click rang down the hallway. Madison stiffened. "What was that?" Conrad lifted a hand. "The mechanical deadbolts on the service stairwell." His voice dropped. "Someone's coming up, Devon." Madison swayed where she stood, her fear pressing into her ribs like iron hands. She had never been hunted before, not like this, not with intention. And suddenly she felt every corner of her life, her job, her marriage, her apartment closing in around her. Noah kept the flashlight pointed toward the hallway. "Conrad, does this apartment have panic rooms?" "2," Conrad answered. "But they're down the eastern corridor. Whoever came in is between us and them. If you one of that ma." A low curse slipped from Noah's mouth. Madison clutched her tote bag, her fingers wrapping around the torn sketchbook inside, as if it could anchor her to something real. "What do they want?" "You," Noah said simply. "No," Conrad corrected. "Not her, what she controls." Madison's throat felt scraped raw. "I don't control anything." "You will," Conrad told her. "And they know that. They've known for years." Noah turned back to her, calm despite the ticking tension in the room. "Maddie, listen to me. When the lights cut, there were no alarms, no emergency beacons. That means the security system wasn't hacked, it was overridden from inside." Her heart stopped. "Inside? You mean someone here?" "No," Conrad said. "Someone who has access to the building. A staff member, a guard, or someone pretending to be one." Another click echoed down the hallway. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Madison's knees buckled. Noah caught her before she fell. "Maddie, breathe. It's done." I can't do this," she whispered, shaking. "I'm not built for any of this." Noah cupped her face with one hand, guiding her eyes to his. "You're built stronger than you think." Another step. Closer. Conrad pulled a metal briefcase from under the couch. How had she never noticed it there? He snapped it open, revealing a tablet, 2 flash drives, and a sleek, black keycard. He held the card out to Madison. "Take this." She shook her head in confusion. "What is it?" "The master key to Phoenix Holdings," Conrad said. "Your mother left it for you. It overrides every board vote, every acquisition, every asset lock." Madison stared at the card, as if it might burn her. "I don't want it." "This isn't about wanting it," Conrad said softly. "It's about surviving long enough to use it." The footsteps stopped just outside the hallway's threshold. Noah raised the flashlight and the beam landed on a shadow stretching across the marble floor. Someone tall, broad, unmoving. Madison's breath froze. The doorman's voice drifted through the dark, strained and unfamiliar. "Miss Clark, you need to come with me." Noah's entire body tensed. "That's not him," he whispered. The shadow shifted, and then the figure stepped into the faint light. A familiar face. A face Madison never expected to see in that penthouse. A face that should not have known where she was. Her voice cracked. "Harrison?" He stared at her, eyes wild, chest heaving. "I followed you," he said. "And you're all in danger." Harrison stood in the dim glow of Noah's flashlight, hands raised as if surrendering to invisible gunfire. His chest rose and fell in frantic bursts, eyes darting from Conrad to Noah to Madison, never settling long enough to look human. Madison couldn't breathe. "You followed us?" "Harrison, what are you doing here?" "I had to," he panted. "You weren't safe." "You think that SUV earlier was a coincidence? Or the break-in?" "Maddie, they're after you. And now they know I'm involved." Noah stepped in front of her. "Why should we believe anything you say?" Harrison's shoulders sagged. In the flickering light, he looked like a man already twice broken, first by his own choices, then by something darker. "Because I saw who did it." A stillness fell across the room. Conrad spoke first. Who, Harrison? He swallowed hard. My mother is now. The words punched through the air like a blade. Madison's knees nearly buckled again. Noah grabbed her elbow to steady her. No, Madison whispered. Beatrice may be cruel, but she wouldn't. She would. Harrison cut in. She already has. He ran a trembling hand through his hair. She hired 2 private investigators. Then, when they couldn't access your records, she found someone else. Someone with criminal ties. Conrad's expression turned to stone. What kind of ties? Harrison shook his head. I don't know all the details. She kept me out of it at first. But tonight, she snapped. She said she was done waiting for the truth. When I demanded answers, she threw me out of the house. His voice cracked. She's not thinking clearly. That doesn't explain why you broke into this penthouse, Noah said sharply, or why you showed up in the dark and terrified her. I didn't break in, Harrison defended, hands shaking. The lights went out right as I got off the service elevator. I thought it was sabotage. I was looking for you, Madison. I didn't know where else to go. Why look for me? Madison asked, voice quivering. We're getting divorced, Harrison. He flinched as if struck. Because despite everything, I don't want you dead. The admission hung between them, jagged and brittle. Noah narrowed his eyes. How did you even know she was here? Harrison hesitated, then admitted softly, I put a tracker on her phone months ago. Madison's blood ran cold. You did what? Harrison stepped forward, desperation in every line of his face. I had to. You were pulling away, you were working late, you were changing. I needed to know where you were, if you were okay. No, she said, voice breaking, fury mixing with betrayal. You wanted control. You always wanted control. Just like your mother. Harrison's breath hitched, shame flushing his face. You're right, I messed up, but Maddie, this time, I swear, I'm trying to help. Conrad's voice cut through the tension like a blade. We don't have time for confessions. If Beatrice hired professionals, they won't stop until they get what they want. Madison hugged her coat tighter around herself. But why me? Why now? I figured it out, Harrison whispered. My mother found a sealed document with your maiden name, Clark. She traced it to an offshore trust. When she couldn't access the rest, she assumed you were hiding something massive. His eyes filled with dread. She wanted proof before your birthday. Before whatever was supposed to unlock. Noah drew in a sharp breath. The timing fits. Madison's heart pounded painfully. So she thinks if she pressures me enough before midnight, she can force you to sign control away, Conrad finished. Or claim it was never yours. Madison felt a chill creep down her spine. She wasn't dealing with a jealous mother-in-law anymore. She was dealing with someone willing to break laws, destroy property, maybe worse. A distant noise echoed from the hallway, metal against metal. Everyone went still. Harrison's eyes widened. That's the service elevator. Noah's grip tightened around the flashlight. We're not alone. Another sound closer this time. A heavy step on polished marble. Madison's breath shook violently. Who is that? Conrad looked toward the dark corridor, face paling. That, he whispered, is not building staff. The corridor light flickered. A shadow stretched across the floor. And then, a distorted voice echoed through the dark. Miss Clark, we've finally found you. The distorted voice slithered through the dark hallway like a cold gust of wind. Madison's pulse spiked so violently she felt it in her throat. Noah shifted his stance, placing himself squarely between her and the shadow approaching from the corridor. Harrison backed toward the wall, panic flooding his features. Conrad moved with measured caution, stepping slightly ahead, as if calculating every possible outcome. Stay behind me, Noah whispered, low and steady, though she could hear the tension beneath it. Madison clutched the master keycard Conrad had given her. The thin piece of metal felt impossibly heavy in her hand, like the weight of every mistake, every secret, every truth she never asked for. Another footstep echoed slow, deliberate. Miss Clark, the voice repeated, deeper now. We don't want to hurt you. We only need what's rightfully owed. Madison's breath caught. What does that mean? What do you want from me? A figure emerged into the thin beam of Noah's flashlight, a tall man dressed head to toe in black tactical gear, masked, gloved, moving with the precision of someone trained. Not a random thug. Not Beatrice. Someone hired. Someone dangerous. Noah stepped forward. You're trespassing on federal property. Leave now. The masked man tilted his head, amused. Federal? Mr. Whitford? This is private real estate, and you're quite mistaken if you think the law will arrive in time. Madison flinched. How do you know Noah's name? The stranger chuckled. We know all of your names. Harrison cursed under his breath. Noah tightened his grip on the flashlight like a weapon. You're not getting anywhere near her. Oh, I'm not here for her, the masked man said. I'm here for the key. Madison's stomach twisted. Her fingers instinctively closed around the card in her pocket. Conrad stepped forward. You're not touching her. Or anything that belongs to Phoenix. Ah. The man smiled behind the mask. She could hear it. So, you must be Conrad Hale, the loyal executor. Conrad's eyes narrowed. And you're the reason my staff did not check in tonight. The man spread his gloved hands mockingly. Your staff were redirected. Madison felt the room spin. Redirected. That could mean anything. Noah reached for her hand, steadying her trembling fingers. Noah whispered, When I say run, you run. Straight to the elevator. Madison nodded weakly. But the masked man wasn't done. He took a step closer, boots echoing sharply. Do you even know what you're holding, Miss Clark? That key unlocks more than a company. It unlocks power, influence, control. Your mother tried desperately to hide. Madison lifted her chin, even as fear clawed at her insides. I don't care about power. No, he said softly, but they do. Before Madison could process his words, the masked man pulled something from his belt, a small, cylindrical device. Conrad's eyes widened. Flashdown, now? Thanks for watching. The device exploded in a burst of white light so violent, Madison screamed, throwing her hands over her eyes. The world went soundless, sightless. Her ears rang, her knees hit the floor. She couldn't tell where Noah was. Couldn't tell if Harrison was standing or down. Couldn't hear Conrad yelling. Her senses warped colors, shadows, after-images spiraled wildly. Hands grabbed her from behind, hard, yanking. No, no, she cried, struggling blindly. A voice hissed into her ear. Give me the key, Madison. Now. Her heart hammered so hard, she felt sick. She clawed at the air, trying to find Noah. Let her go! Noah's voice roared somewhere behind her, muffled by her ringing ears. Footsteps. A scuffle. Something slammed against the wall. Then, a gunshot shattered the chaos. Madison froze. Noah shouted her name. A body hit the floor. The ringing in her ears sharpened, then dulled, then sharpened again. Her vision blurred back just enough to see someone collapse near her feet. Someone familiar. Someone bleeding. Harrison. He gasped, clutching his abdomen, eyes wide with shock and pain. Mads, he whispered. And behind him, the masked man stood over him, gun raised, turning toward her next. Your turn, Miss Clark. Madison's scream caught in her throat, trapped between terror and disbelief as Harrison's body crumpled to the marble floor. Blood spread beneath him in a dark, slick pool, staining the expensive stone like a spreading shadow. His breaths came in shallow gasps, each one weaker than the last. No, Harrison. Madison dropped to her knees beside him without thinking, her hands hovering helplessly over the wound. The smell of iron filled the air. His eyes flickered up to her, glassy and desperate. Mads, don't let him take it, he whispered, struggling for breath. Madison shook her head, tears blurring her vision. Don't speak. Just stay with me, Harrison. Stay with me. But the masked man moved closer, ignoring the bleeding man at her feet. His silhouette loomed above her like a nightmare made real. The key, Miss Clark, he said calmly. You have 5 seconds. Noah lunged forward out of the shadows, slamming into the attacker with full force. The gun clattered across the floor, skidding toward the hallway. The impact sent both men crashing into a glass end table, which exploded into shards around them. Madison, move, Noah shouted. But Madison couldn't, her body refused to respond. Her mind was frozen between fear, shock, and grief. Harrison groaned, gripping her sleeve weakly. Go, he whispered, his voice barely audible. Don't let them win. The attacker recovered faster than expected, shoving Noah aside with a brutal elbow to the ribs. Noah hit the ground hard, gasping, clutching his side. The man advanced again, grabbing Madison's arm and wrenching her backward. She cried out as his grip tightened like a steel vise. No, Noah roared, scrambling back up despite the pain. But Conrad, surprisingly fast for his age, intercepted the masked man, swinging the metal briefcase with a force that made a sickening crack when it struck the attacker's shoulder. The man staggered backward, stunned. "Madison, to the elevator," Conrad barked. She stumbled to her feet, adrenaline flooding her limbs at last. Noah pulled himself upright, clutching her hand, guiding her toward the penthouse's inner corridor. Behind them, the masked man recovered quickly, rage vibrating in his stance. "Run!" Noah yelled. They bolted down the hallway, Madison's vision streaking with tears. Her lungs burned, her legs trembled. The keycard dug into her palm as she sprinted. Footsteps thundered behind them, closer, faster. They reached the elevator bank. Noah slammed the emergency override. Come on, open." The light flickered. The elevator dinged. The doors slid open. But a hand gloved, strong, grabbed Madison's hair from behind, yanking her backwards so violently she fell to the floor with a cry. Noah spun around, fury blazing, and kicked the attacker in the knee. The man buckled but didn't release his grip. "Give me the key," he snarled. Madison clawed at the floor, desperate, her fingers bleeding from broken glass. "I don't want it. I don't even want it. But the people I work for do." He reached into his vest with his free hand, pulling out a second weapon. Noah stepped between them instantly. "Over my dead body," he growled. The man raised the weapon. Time slowed. Conrad shouted something behind them, voice drowned by adrenaline. Harrison, bleeding, groaned on the far end of the hall. Noah grabbed the attacker's arm. The weapon discharged. A thunderous boom ricocheted through the hallway. Madison screamed. The attacker stumbled, shocked, then fell to the ground with a heavy thud. Behind him, standing with the smoking gun in hand, was someone none of them expected to see, someone who shouldn't have been there at all. A woman. Elegant, composed, terrifyingly calm. She looked straight at Madison and spoke. "Hello, Madison. My name is Evelyn Mercer, and I'm here to save your life." Madison stood frozen, her chest heaving as Evelyn Mercer lowered the smoking gun with chilling precision. Evelyn, an immaculate woman in her early 40s, dressed in a tailored black suit and heels sharp enough to kill, stepped over the fallen attacker as if he were nothing more than a tripping hazard. "Secure the body," she commanded. Two men in dark suits appeared from the shadows of the hallway, silent, disciplined, clearly her team. They moved swiftly, collecting the attacker's weapons and rolling him onto his side to examine the wound. Noah steadied Madison with both hands on her shoulders. "Evelyn, you shouldn't be here." "I should have been here sooner," Evelyn snapped, though her voice remained oddly elegant. "Madison Clark is now the most valuable and targeted woman in Manhattan. And you insisted on handling this alone." Noah didn't argue. He didn't even look offended, just exhausted. Madison blinked at Evelyn, still catching her breath. "You know me?" "Oh, darling." Evelyn strode closer, her heels clicking with power. "I've known about you for years. Your mother and I worked together. She trusted me. And when she died, I swore I'd protect what she left behind." Madison's throat tightened. "Then why didn't you come earlier?" Evelyn paused. The question hit her harder than expected. "Because your father insisted you stay anonymous," she said softly. "He believed your life would be safer if no one knew who you were. And until tonight, I thought he might have been right." Noah looked at Madison, guilt flickering across his face. "Evelyn and I had a contingency plan for when you turned 28. But things escalated too fast." Madison wiped her trembling hands against her jeans. "What happens now?" Before anyone could answer, Conrad rushed down the hallway toward them, breathless. "We need to get Madison out of the building. Security teams are sweeping the perimeter, more breaches detected." Evelyn nodded curtly. "Then we move. Now." But Harrison's weak voice cracked through the chaos. "Wait." He lay on the marble floor, blood still pooling beneath him. His face was pale, his breath shallow. Madison felt her heart twist painfully. Despite everything he'd done, despite the betrayal, she couldn't watch him die. Madison knelt beside him. "Hold on, Harrison. We're going to get you help." He shook his head weakly. "No. Listen." His eyes flicked toward Evelyn. "You need to know something. My mother Beatrice, she's not done. She thinks she can still force Madison to sign everything away. She thinks she has leverage." Evelyn raised an eyebrow. "Leverage?" Harrison's voice cracked. She's planning to crash the benefactors gala tomorrow. She wants to expose Madison publicly, make her look unstable, unfit, and then push for power of attorney. Conrad swore under his breath. If Beatrice gets ahead of the announcement, she could undermine everything, Evelyn finished, legally and publicly. Madison felt the blood drain from her face. So even after all this, she still wants to ruin me? Harrison's eyes shimmered not with guilt, but with something like regret. She doesn't want to ruin you. She wants to replace you. Noah's jaw clenched. She's delusional. Evelyn shook her head. She's dangerous. Madison looked between them, Noah bruised and panting, Conrad shaken, Harrison fading, Evelyn commanding the room like a war general. And in the center of it all, her life lay shattered, yet somehow more valuable than she'd ever known. She swallowed hard. If Beatrice wants a public war, then that's what she'll get. I thank you for. Evelyn smiled a slow, sharp smile that didn't reach her eyes. Good, because tomorrow we take her down. Conrad's phone buzzed violently. He glanced at it, then stiffened. What? Noah asked. Conrad turned the screen toward them. A news alert. Breaking. Beatrice Monroe spotted entering Phoenix Holdings' Midtown office at 1:14 Madison's breath stopped cold. Evelyn's eyes narrowed to slits. That building should be sealed, she hissed. But the real blow came a second later, when the alert refreshed. New update. Sources claim Monroe family to make major announcement about heir controversy at dawn. Madison's heartbeat thundered in her ears. She's going public, Noah whispered. Yes, Evelyn said darkly. And she plans to do it before you. The hours after the attack blurred into a haze of sirens, whispered instructions, and hurried movements. Madison barely remembered how she got from the penthouse corridor to the sleek black SUV Evelyn's team escorted her into. She barely remembered the quiet fury in Noah's voice as he spoke to security. She barely remembered the paramedics rushing Harrison away. But she remembered one thing with painful clarity. Beatrice was going public at dawn. By the time Evelyn's convoy reached the safe house, a glass and stone retreat tucked behind a private estate in Westchester, Madison felt hollow. Her thoughts were loud and silent at the same time. She stepped through the doorway and sank onto the closest couch as if her bones were made of paper. Noah crouched beside her. Maddie, you need to breathe. She tried. Her chest fought her. Air felt sharp, as if it cut on the way in. Evelyn crossed the room, heels silent on the marble floor now. Madison, look at me. It took effort, but she did. Evelyn's gaze softened, not cold strategist, not corporate powerhouse, but something surprisingly human. Everything you are feeling is normal. You were attacked, betrayed, pulled into a world you didn't choose. She paused. But this is where you rise. Madison shook her head. I'm not strong enough for this. That, Evelyn said, is the lie every powerful woman is taught to believe. Noah offered Madison a glass of water. His fingers brushed hers, steadying her grip. She looked at him, eyes stinging. I don't even know who I am anymore, Noah, she whispered. A broke architect, living in a cracked apartment, a billionaire I never asked to be, a target, someone who ruins lives just by existing. You're Madison, Noah said softly. And that's enough. She nearly broke then, not from fear, but from the tenderness in his voice. A tenderness she hadn't felt in years. Conrad entered the room, holding a slim leather folder. There's something we need to discuss before dawn, he said. Beatrice is planning to undermine you publicly. She's likely to claim mental instability, financial fraud, or both. Madison's jaw clenched. She'll say anything to win. Then we counter her with truth, Conrad said. But first, you must decide what kind of heir you want to be. Madison looked down at her trembling hands. She didn't feel like an heir. She felt like a mess, broken, scattered, fragile. But inside all that, something else flickered. Something small, something steady. A spark. What do I have to do? She asked quietly. Evelyn smiled faintly. First, you clean up and rest. Then you prepare for tomorrow. We'll dress you, train you, and escort you. You will walk into that gala powerful enough to silence the world. I don't want the world, Madison murmured. I just want my life back. Sometimes, Evelyn said, you must take the world to protect your life. I can. Madison inhaled slowly, deeply. For the first time since this nightmare began, she sat up straighter. "Okay," she said. "Show me what I need to do." Evelyn nodded. "Good, Noah, get her settled." He led Madison down a hallway into a calm, luxurious guest suite, soft linens, warm lighting, a window overlooking moonlit trees. The moment the door clicked shut, the weight of the day crushed her again. She turned to Noah. "Harrison, will he survive?" Noah hesitated. "The doctors said he lost a lot of blood, but he made it to surgery. He's got a chance." Madison exhaled shakily, conflicted. "I didn't want him hurt." "I know. And Beatrice," she swallowed. "She's going to blame me." "She already does," Noah said. "But tomorrow, the truth comes out." A tear slid down her cheek. "Noah, will you stay with me?" He stepped closer, not too close, but close enough for comfort. "All night, if you want." Madison nodded, finally letting herself breathe. But before Noah could say anything else, Evelyn burst into the doorway, eyes sharp, phone in hand. "Madison," she said urgently, "you need to see this." She turned the screen toward them. It was a live news broadcast. Beatrice Monroe standing at a podium outside Phoenix Holdings headquarters, smiling, triumphant, announcing she would be assisting the board in removing an unfit heir. Madison's heart plummeted, and the reporter said she would reveal the heir's identity in less than 1 hour. Madison stared at the screen, her pulse pounding in her throat as Beatrice Monroe stood at the podium perfectly composed, every hair in place, every word calculated to kill. "Phoenix Holdings cannot fall into the wrong hands," Beatrice declared, her voice trembling with false concern. "And it is my duty to protect the company's legacy from an heir who is dangerously unstable." Madison's stomach twisted. Unstable. The word landed like a slap. Beatrice knew exactly what narrative would stick. A woman attacked in her own home, running from danger, hiding in safe houses, it all painted the perfect portrait of a fragile mind. Noah turned off the screen before Madison could watch more. "You are not going to fall apart because of her," he said firmly. "She's lying. Everyone will see that soon enough." But Madison backed away from the television, shaking. "No, Noah, she knows more than she should. She knows something about my mother, something I never understood." Evelyn exchanged a heavy look with Conrad. "She's trying to weaponize the past." Madison lifted her head. "What past? Someone tell me the truth." Silence filled the room, thick, suffocating, electric. Finally, Conrad exhaled. "She wants people to doubt your mental stability because your mother once struggled with hers." Madison blinked, stunned. "My mother? No. My father never." "He never told you," Evelyn interrupted gently, because he was trying to protect her memory. "And you?" Madison's hands trembled. She felt as if her entire childhood had been ripped open. "What kind of struggle?" she whispered. Conrad stepped forward cautiously. "Your mother was brilliant, a financial strategist unlike anything this country had ever seen. But with brilliance comes vulnerability. She experienced periods of emotional instability, paranoia, fear that someone would take what she built." Madison's breath caught. "Paranoia. About what?" "Phoenix Holdings," Evelyn replied. "She believed powerful people wanted to destroy it. She hid documents, destroyed files, changed ownership structures. At the time, no one knew whether she was protecting the company or overreacting." Madison pressed a trembling hand against her mouth. "And Beatrice knows this?" "She knew your mother," Conrad said quietly. "They were acquaintances in the financial circuit. And Beatrice intends to use your mother's history to claim you're following the same path." Madison's voice cracked. "I'm not unstable. We know that," Noah said, stepping closer. "But to the public, to the board, to the people who don't know you, Beatrice's story will spread fast." Madison felt something break inside her. Not a crack of weakness, something else. A protective rage she never knew she had. "I won't let her use my mother's memory like this," she whispered. Evelyn nodded approvingly. "Then you need to understand the full truth. Your mother wasn't paranoid, Madison." She paused, letting the weight of the words settle. "She was right." Madison blinked. "Right? About what?" "That someone really was trying to take Phoenix Holdings from her," Evelyn said. "And that person didn't stop after she died." Madison felt her knees weaken, sinking slowly onto the nearest chair. "Who?" Conrad opened the leather folder he carried everywhere. Pages rustled, documents aged by time, signatures faded but still legible. He set one sheet on the table. The name at the bottom made Madison's blood run cold. Harrison Monroe, Sr., former CEO of Monroe Financial Group, Beatrice's late husband. Madison shook her head violently. Harrison's father? Why would he? He wanted control, Conrad said. Your mother refused him. And his wife Beatrice never forgot that rejection. And it free. Madison swallowed hard, the room spinning. So Beatrice is continuing her husband's fight. Not just continuing it, Evelyn said. She's finishing it. Noah knelt beside Madison, his hands gentle on her shaking arms. This isn't just about money, it's a legacy war, and you're the only one who can stop it. Madison forced her eyes open, her voice barely a whisper. What do we do now? Evelyn stepped forward, her expression fierce. We expose the truth before she does. End quote. Madison nodded slowly, feeling resolve settle into her bones. What truth? She asked. Evelyn looked straight into her eyes. The truth that your mother didn't die in an accident. She was silenced. The room fell so silent Madison could hear her own heartbeat fast, uneven, almost painful. Silenced? She whispered. My mother was murdered? Evelyn didn't soften the blow. Yes. And everything happening now is tied to the same people who targeted her. If you robbery? Noah rose slowly, his face tightening with a seriousness she had rarely seen. We don't say this lightly, Maddie. Your mother was ahead of her time, too ahead, and she became a threat. Madison felt as though the floor moved beneath her feet. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to hold her world together. But why keep this from me? Why didn't my father explain? Why hide everything until now? Conrad stepped forward. Because he feared the same people who killed her would come after you. And he was right. That's why he locked your inheritance behind age, anonymity, and sealed records. Madison pressed her palms against her eyes, fighting tears. And now Beatrice is using her death to paint me as unfit. Exactly, Evelyn said, which means we must move faster. Noah helped Madison stand. She wavered for a moment, then steadied herself. What do we need to do? We dig, Noah said. We find proof Beatrice and her husband were involved with your mother's downfall. If we can uncover even one thread, we pull the entire Monroe empire apart. Madison nodded, and for the first time she felt something stronger than fear, purpose. Conrad pulled out another folder. Your father collected evidence before he died. Notes, bank transfers, a coded ledger. A ledger? Madison repeated. A hidden one, Conrad confirmed. Encrypted, but someone like Noah can unlock it. End quote. Noah shot a sharp glance at Conrad. You had me study cybersecurity for Phoenix. You knew this moment would come. Your mother knew, Conrad replied. She trusted you too more than anyone. Madison turned to Noah. We do this together? He gave her a soft, unshakable smile. Always. Evelyn clapped her hands once. Good. Then we split tasks. I'll prepare tomorrow's public reveal. Conrad will contact the legal team. You two, she pointed to Madison and Noah, are going to New York. And 40. Where exactly? Madison asked. Conrad answered, to the South Street storage vaults. Your father kept a safe there. The ledger should be inside. Madison's stomach tightened. And what if Beatrice knows about it too? Evelyn smirked darkly. That's why you're leaving now, while she's too busy lying on live television. Minutes later, Madison and Noah were racing down the estate driveway in Noah's Mercedes, the engine purring under the starless sky, the road blurred beneath them. Madison stared out the window, city lights flickering across her reflection. I never thought my life would become this, she said quietly. Neither did I, Noah replied. But I always knew you were meant for something bigger. She smiled sadly. Bigger wasn't supposed to be dangerous. He reached over and took her hand, a small gesture, warm and steady. If it helps, I'm terrified too. She looked at him, surprised. You don't look terrified. I am, he admitted, because I can't lose you. Her breath caught. The car slowed as they approached the Manhattan Bridge. The skyline glowed ahead, towering steel, glass, and secrets waiting to be unearthed. They arrived at the South Street storage vaults just after midnight. The air was cold, the street almost empty. Noah guided her into the underground facility, rows of metal doors, harsh fluorescent lights, the sterile smell of concrete. Noah entered a code Conrad had given him. The steel door slid open. Inside, the safe sat tucked beneath a tarp, Dust coated its edges. Madison knelt, brushing her fingers over the metal. This was my father's. Noah crouched beside her. Let's open it. He typed another code. A soft click. The door slowly creaked open, revealing a neatly stacked set of folders, several USB drives, and a single photograph on top. Madison lifted it with trembling hands. The blood drained from her face. It was a picture of her mother, standing beside Beatrice Monroe, and on the back, in her mother's handwriting, "She will betray us." Madison gasped, and before Noah could speak, a shadow moved behind them. Someone had followed them into the vault. Madison spun around so fast her vision blurred. Noah yanked her instinctively behind him, raising the metal flashlight like a weapon. The shadow at the entrance stretched long across the concrete floor, slow, steady, confident. Then the figure stepped into the light. A woman, Beatrice Monroe, perfectly groomed, perfectly composed, perfectly poisonous. She smiled, the kind of smile that had once charmed half of Manhattan's upper crust. "Well," she said lightly, "isn't this nostalgic? Just like old times." Madison's heart pounded. "You followed us?" Beatrice glanced around the vault, her heels clicking softly as she walked deeper inside. "Followed? My dear girl, you left a trail even a child could find. When my sources alerted me that a certain storage unit was being accessed after 20 years, it didn't take much for me to guess why." Noah stepped forward, muscles tense. "You shouldn't be here." "Oh, please," Beatrice scoffed. "I built half the relationships this city functions on. I can be anywhere I choose." Madison bristled. "You don't belong in anything tied to my mother." "Your mother?" Beatrice let out a low, humorless laugh. "Your mother trusted the wrong people. She created enemies and thought she could outsmart everyone, including me." Madison froze. "So you admit it, you were part of what happened to her." Beatrice raised a brow. "Did I ever lay a hand on her? No. But did I warn my husband that she was becoming unstable? Certainly. Did I advise the board that she was making reckless decisions? Naturally." Madison's breath shook. "You destroyed her." "I prevented her from destroying an empire," Beatrice snapped back. "I protected what your mother was too weak to control. And now, tragically, her little heiress has resurfaced to ruin everything again." Noah clenched his fists. "You're not going to win this." "Oh, but I already have," Beatrice said smoothly. She pointed to the photograph still in Madison's hand. "That picture you're holding, if taken out of context, it supports my narrative perfectly. Your mother was paranoid. Her mind deteriorated. And now you, the child of that chaos, are unraveling the same way." Madison's eyes burned. "That's a lie." "No," Beatrice corrected. "It's strategy." She reached into her coat pocket. Noah immediately moved in front of Madison again. "Don't." But Beatrice withdrew only a sleek black envelope, similar to the threatening ones Madison had received earlier. "This," Beatrice said, "contains financial statements, coded emails, and legal precedents, proving that Phoenix Holdings is unfit to be inherited without proper guardianship." She smirked. "And I will be presenting it to the board at sunrise." Madison shook her head. "You forged evidence." "I curated truth," Beatrice said. "Truth the world will believe." Noah stepped closer, voice low. "You won't make it to that meeting." "Oh, Noah," Beatrice purred. "You are brilliant, but painfully naive. You think I came here alone?" Madison felt the temperature in the vault drop. Noah turned his head slightly. "Maddie, don't move." Because behind Beatrice, deeper in the shadows of the vault, two men shifted, large, silent, armed. Madison's heart thundered. "You hired more people?" Beatrice shrugged. "I learned my lesson after last night's failure. This time, I made sure no one interferes." Noah reached subtly for his phone, but Beatrice's gaze darted to his hand. "Don't even try calling Evelyn or the police. This vault has no signal, and no cameras." Madison's breathing turned shallow. They were trapped. Underground, with no backup. Beatrice stepped toward her, eyes cold as ice. "Give me the ledger, give me the key, and I might spare your life." Madison looked at Noah, scared, angry, shaking. Noah whispered, "Don't give her anything." Beatrice smiled. "That wasn't a request." "It wasn't." The two armed men stepped forward, and then a deafening bang echoed through the vault as the metal door slammed shut from the outside. Beatrice froze. Noah froze. Madison froze. Someone else was here. Footsteps approached the sealed door from the other side. A voice, calm, powerful, terrifyingly familiar, spoke through the steel. "Beatrice Monroe, step away from my heir." The voice on the other side of the vault door froze everyone in place. Even the two armed men stepped back instinctively, their postures faltering. Beatrice's eyes widened just slightly, but it was the first time Madison had ever seen true fear crack through her polished exterior. The metal door hissed, then slowly unsealed. A figure stepped inside, flanked by two armored security officers. Evelyn Mercer. And this time, she did not look like the elegant executive they'd met earlier. She looked like a general entering a war she expected to win. Her hair tied back, black tactical coat, a firearm holstered at her hip. The air around her felt colder, sharper, like the temperature dipped every time she took a step forward. "Beatrice," Evelyn said calmly, "your games end today." Beatrice snapped out of her shock, straightening her spine. "You have no authority to interfere here." "Oh, I have plenty." Evelyn lifted a folder in her hand. "Court orders, arraignment warrants. Enough evidence to destroy you and your dead husband's legacy twice over." The color drained from Beatrice's face. The two armed men exchanged uncertain glances. Madison stepped forward, voice trembling but strong. "You've lied about my mother. You've stalked me. You've tried to steal everything she built." "Why?" Beatrice's facade cracked entirely. "Because your mother didn't deserve Phoenix. She inherited what my husband worked for, what we built, and then she threw us out like garbage." "I was a..." Madison shook her head. "Phoenix Holdings was my mother's creation." "Because she tricked us," Beatrice screamed. "She took advantage of our trust. And now you plan to sit on the throne she stole? I won't allow it." Evelyn laughed once, cold, sharp. "You won't allow it? Beatrice, you're finished." Your hired mercenary confessed. Harrison survived and gave a statement. And every board member has already been briefed. Madison's breath hitched. "Harrison?" He talked. Evelyn nodded. "He told us everything." A strange weight lifted off Madison's chest, grief mixed with forgiveness she didn't expect to feel. Beatrice lunged suddenly, reaching for Madison. One final attempt, one last desperate grasp for power. But Noah grabbed Madison, pulling her behind him. Evelyn's security team pinned Beatrice to the concrete before she got within arm's reach. "You can't protect her forever," Beatrice screamed. "She's weak, she's nothing. She'll destroy the company just like her mother." Madison stepped forward this time, cutting her off. "No," she said softly, firmly. "My mother didn't destroy anything. She built a legacy. And you spent 20 years trying to tear down what you couldn't control." Beatrice snarled. "You're pathetic. You don't even know what you're doing." Madison lifted the ledger in her hand, the one Beatrice had tried so hard to find. "No," Madison said, "but I'm learning. And I'm not alone." End quote. "Thanks for watching." She looked at Noah. For a moment, the chaos in the vault quieted. His eyes softened, warm even in the harsh fluorescent light. He stepped closer, cupping her cheek gently, grounding her with one touch. "Maddie," he whispered, "you don't have to be strong for the world. You just have to be you." Her breath trembled. No one had ever seen her like this, messy, terrified, powerful, broken, and still chosen her anyway. "You stayed," she whispered. "I'll always stay," Noah said. That single sentence, steady, unwavering, hit deeper than anything Beatrice had said tonight. It poured into the cracks of Madison's fear, filling spaces she didn't know were empty. Before she could respond, Evelyn's voice cut through. "Madison, it's time." Madison turned. "To finally reveal who you are," Evelyn said. "The car is ready. The gala board, the press, the investors, they're all waiting." Madison inhaled slowly. This was it. The moment her life split in two, the woman she had been and the woman she would become. She placed her hand in Noah's. Together, they walked toward the vault door. But just before crossing the threshold, an alarm blared through the facility. Red lights flashed. Conrad's voice yelled from the hallway. "Someone tampered with the gala broadcast. Beatrice's team posted your identity early." Madison didn't run. She didn't freeze. She didn't crumble the way Beatrice hoped she would. As Conrad's alarm echoed down the hallway and Evelyn's team scrambled into formation, Madison stood in the center of the storm, breathing slowly, steadily, like someone who finally remembered she had lungs. Noah squeezed her hand. "Maddie, take a second." "I don't need a second," she said, surprising even herself with the steadiness in her voice. "I'm ready." The world already knew her name now. The secrecy was gone. The anonymity her father tried so hard to protect was shattered. But instead of fear, something else filled her chest: clarity. Evelyn rushed up beside her. "Your identity leak is spreading fast. Every financial network is reporting you as the heir. We need to get you to the plaza before Beatrice's lies take root." Madison nodded. "Then let's go." Outside, a small convoy waited, sleek black cars, engines thrumming. The drive into Manhattan was a blur of streetlights and adrenaline. Madison watched the skyline sharpen against the dark horizon. Her city, her mother's city. The place she once felt too small for. Not anymore. When they arrived at the plaza, the scene was electric. Cameras flashed in rapid bursts. Voices shouted her name. Reporters swarmed the barricades. Madison stepped out of the car in a tailored black gown. Evelyn had arranged in the car an elegant, sharp silhouette that made her look like the heir she had been born to be but never allowed to become. Her hair was swept back. Her chin was high. Her mother would have been proud. Noah walked beside her, not overshadowing, not leading, simply matching her, step for step. A partner, an anchor. Inside the ballroom, chaos simmered beneath golden chandeliers. Investors whispered in clusters. Board members hovered like vultures waiting to choose a side. Then Beatrice Monroe appeared near the stage, flanked by two attorneys, her expression stretched into a brittle, triumphant smirk as if she still believed she'd won. Madison didn't look away. She walked straight toward the stage. Evelyn stepped to the microphone first. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for gathering on such short notice. Tonight, the truth arrives." Beatrice's smug smile flickered. Then Evelyn turned to Madison. "It's yours." Madison stepped forward. Every whisper in the room went silent as she reached the podium. "I didn't ask for any of this," Madison began. "I didn't ask to inherit a company or a legacy or my mother's unfinished battles. But I am here, and I will not run." The room held its breath. "Many of you have heard lies already," Madison continued. "Lies about my mother's mental stability. Lies about my capability. Lies about who deserves to lead Phoenix Holdings." Her eyes found Beatrice. "And those lies came from the same family who tried to destroy my mother 20 years ago." The audience erupted in gasps. Beatrice lunged to speak, but Evelyn held up a hand, freezing her in her tracks. Madison lifted the ledger from the vault, placing it on the podium. "Here are the documents connecting the Monroe family to financial sabotage, racketeering attempts, and fraudulent claims against Phoenix Holdings." She nodded to Conrad, who strode forward, handing board members printed packets. "And here," Madison added, voice unwavering, "is my mother's handwriting predicting the betrayal." Security officers stepped behind Beatrice, her face drained. "You don't understand, this isn't. You tried to rewrite my mother's story," Madison said softly. "But tonight, I take it back." The ballroom lights seemed to brighten. Board members murmured. Reporters snapped pictures in frenzied bursts. And Beatrice Monroe was escorted out of the plaza in handcuffs, screaming as the cameras recorded every second the fall she deserved, the justice Madison's mother never received. Silence settled once she was gone. A new board member rose. "Miss Clark, are you willing to lead Phoenix Holdings?" Madison looked at Noah. He didn't nod. He didn't push. He simply held her gaze with warmth, so steady it filled her ribs. "You choose," he whispered. Madison faced the board. "Yes, I will lead, and I will rebuild Phoenix the way my mother intended, ethically, transparently, fearlessly." Applause rippled across the ballroom, soft at first, then rising into something triumphant. Later, on the balcony overlooking Central Park, Madison leaned into Noah's side, exhausted and teary. "You did it," he murmured. "No," she whispered. "We did it." Noah brushed a tear from her cheek. "I meant what I said. I won't leave." She smiled finally, freely. "Good, because I think I'm falling in love with you." He laughed softly, forehead touching hers. "I've been in love with you for years." And under the lights of Manhattan, Madison Clark finally felt safe. Seen, whole. Her mother's legacy restored. Her name cleared. Her future hers again. And with Noah's arms around her, Madison understood something she'd waited her whole life to feel. That she was no longer surviving. She was living. And just like that, our story comes to an end. But hey, my wonderful friends, you're still here with me, aren't you? If you're listening at this very moment, it means something inside this story touched your heart in a quiet, personal way. Maybe it reminded you of your own wounds, your own strength, or your own fight to reclaim your worth. Madison's journey teaches us something Marcus Aurelius once wrote. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Life will throw betrayal, loss, and injustice at us, just like it did to her. But the true victory comes the moment we stop letting fear write our story and finally choose ourselves. Remember, you deserve boundaries. You deserve safety. You deserve love that supports, not suffocates. And like Madison, you deserve a future that honors your past, not runs from it. If this story made you feel seen, healed, or simply understood, please like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to our channel so we can keep walking through these powerful journeys together. I'm still here with you, and I hope you stay with me too.